Now we have Jeff Marek ready to go from the sheet from the Nation Network. And I guess that was in the list of topics. Maybe we'll start there, Jeff Marek, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I don't, like in
Sure.
America, nobody even knows what it is. Nobody knows what it is.
I know.
Of America.
I know.
But the Canadians are frothing, dude.
Isn't it kind of this way as well around the World Juniors? Although now the United States has kind of warmed up to the idea of what this entire thing is and how meaningful it is. And part of me wants to say, on the one hand, Americans love winning the World Juniors, the U20s. On the other hand, I don't know whether they love winning it or they just love beating Canadians. Like, I don't know what's more of a victory for the United States, but I think the United States has a better handle on what the U20s is like, well, it's just a development tournament for kids. But you're right, like the four nations face off so far, and we'll see what happens when we get closer to it. And, the players have talked about this, like they're not focused on it. There's still no buzz about it. There's no group chats amongst all the players. They're still competing. We'll see what happens when we get closer here. But I'll tell you what, watching Jacob Markstrom go down yesterday and hearing Sheldon Keefe say that he's going to be out for some time here. Linus Ullmark just went on LTIR. Now he can come off at any time. All of a sudden, if you're Sweden, you're saying to yourself, hang on a second here. Maybe we thought we had a shot at this thing. Maybe those chances have been diminished a little bit. But it does underscore one thing as well here, Rod, and I'll turn the recreation back to you. Injuries may just be the wild card in all of it. And that's is why I think a lot of teams are sort of pulling up short and a little hesitant about pulling the trigger on big trades, because who knows who could get injured at this thing.
You're the guest, so you take as much time as you want. You come into my house, you make yourself at home. But I'm serious. The Doug McLean was on our Panthers podcast we do out here, Panthers Lightning, yesterday. And he goes, Four Nations face-off. He goes, as a fan, excited as hell. He goes, as a GM, I'd have been a basket case. Worried about injuries, right? How much you hearing about that?
Well, yeah, I'm hearing the exact same thing. I think everybody, let me give you a couple of examples. The Ottawa Senators will go down as, the Ottawa Senators of between 2005 to maybe 2009 are probably going to go down as one of the greatest teams to never win the Stanley Cup. And one of the reasons why is you can well recall Dominik Hasek and his angel hair pasta groin at the Olympics when he went down. And then he came back to Ottawa and he wouldn't even get on the ice. Like, I can remember the Ottawa Senators, like everybody with the organization, Rod, like begging Hasek, just try, see how, and that scotched their chances at winning a Stanley Cup. Islanders with John Tavares as well. Like, there is kind of a track record here of players getting injured, and that ends up completely starching that club team's chances of winning the Stanley Cup. It is, and that's why as much as GMs will say like, oh, it's just all-star game is this and all-star game is that, it's not really much of a competition. That's by design. They don't want any of their players getting hurt. They want them to go and play a little bit hungover so no one gets hurt and everything's really slow. Injuries are going to be the wild card in olives. And there's going to be one team that sees their Stanley Cup hopes diminish because of this thing. And listen, if it's going to be a goaltender, you cross your fingers for Winnipeg and hope that it's not going to be them.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's an NHL-sponsored event, a money grab, some will say. I'm just going to watch it and be a fan. That's what I'm going to do. Speaking of, Vancouver at Edmonton tonight. Game of the year?
It is one of the most interesting games of the year. I think what's funny, Rod, I just think we saw the game of the year so far Saturday afternoon as part of Hockey Day in Canada. That Ottawa-Boston game had a little bit of everything in it. Drama, violence, skill, stupidity. Like, it had everything you want in a hockey game. But this one's going to be must-watch television tonight. I don't know if it has all of the earmarks, Rod, of line brawl off the opening face-off, but would it surprise you? Considering the history, the animosity, like we've seen it happen before, Vancouver, Calgary, Tortorella, Hartley. We've seen Washington and the New York Rangers after the Wilson, Panarin, Buchnevich incident. But I do wonder about this one. I think both teams will be told, we have an extra eye on you, so maybe don't do this. But I do wonder what happens when that puck drops tonight between these two teams. I really do.
It's the curiosity factor. You got to tune in to find out. As I said last hour, this is not Probert Domi MSG. Okay, but we're never going to have those days again. In today's NHL, this is as good as it gets, though.
Yeah, and not to sound too much like a Cro-Magnon here. Marek, you've got scabs on your knuckles. Did you walk over the place? I kind of miss that. Like not every game, but every now and then there became there's going to be a showdown, and it's going to be these two guys. Like even going back to Memorial Cup days, Saskatoon and Peterborough, where there was who's really the toughest in Canada? Is it Ty Domi in Peterborough? Is it Kevin Kaminsky with Saskatoon? Like there were those curiosities that used to exist in hockey. The Domi Probert one is a great one. The Probert Crowder, Dave Brown, Stu Grimson, the second fight in that Edmonton home and home with the Calgary Flames. And you're right. Like that's gone. Maybe the closest thing we have to it is everybody knew last night at Scotiabank in Toronto that Ryan Reeves and Matthew Olivier were going to fight. It was an empty calorie fight. It didn't mean anything other than Ryan Reeves was feeling the heat because he hadn't fought all season long, and Matthew Olivier was only too happy to oblige. Maybe that's one of the closest things we're going to get to.
Number one, the last time you were on, you reminded me of the success you've had because you're very good at what you do. But I also feel like a bit of a kindred soul thing here, like with Matt Rempe. I'm a fan. You seem like you would be a fan. Are you?
I am intrigued by Matt Rempe. I'm intrigued that, I shouldn't be. Like when I think of Matt Rempe, you know who I think of? Because I see him in the Rangers jersey, and he's such a cult favorite. Every time he hits the ice, there's like a buzz at MSG. And you'll remember Nick Fotiu. Nick Fotiu with the New York Rangers was loved. Nick Fotiu and his dad used to sit up in the back of MSG and was like a longtime New York Rangers fan and a Golden Glove boxer, like toughest player in the NHL at his time, loved by Rangers fans. Nick Fotiu would, at the end of warm-up would shoot pucks, not just a little bit over the glass, but would aim like up at the top where him and his dad used to sit. And Rangers fans loved him. Like there's a unique bond that fans have with players who fight, with players that are tough, that are players that are there to do the policeman's role. And that's why, and I've heard this from, you ask Doug McLean about it, Doug will tell you the same thing. It's really tough when those guys get traded. It's tough emotionally on them because of how much they put their bodies in harm's way for that team and that fan base. And it's hard to get that back when you go to another team. And fans hold those guys sacred. That's why I find the phenomenon really interesting because, again, you don't see it very often in the NHL anymore. And I do see shades of Nick Fotiu at MSG when I see Matt Rempe.
Tim Hunter will tell you the hardest he's ever been hit was by Nick Fotiu at MSG. Broke his helmet.
Really?
Tim Hunter, no, it was by Fotiu. Punched him and broke his helmet in two. And it ain't close.
Yeah, that was Joe Kocur. Kocur was the same way. Kocur hit for keeps. Yeah, he was a Tyson puncher. He was, absolutely. Sorry, Rod, go ahead.
No, you're good. Last one, Jeff, because I'll let you go. You got to get ready for your show. Where do we go with this? I think the one thing I had on the list was the Capitals. Like, they came out of nowhere for me. Did they for you?
Yeah. They did. I didn't see this one coming. All the moves that they made in the offseason have all paid off. Like, don't look now, but all of a sudden, like, Jacob Chychrun has himself in line for a massive payday. Like, would it surprise you if in the offseason he signs a $7 million AAV? I don't think it would surprise anybody. He's having that season, right? And who amongst us thought that we were going to see this version of Pierre-Luc Dubois as everybody in Los Angeles, Winnipeg, and Columbus say to themselves, where was that guy? Where was that guy? And it's not just Ovechkin either. Like when Ovechkin went out of the lineup, like this team really just didn't miss a beat. A lot of it is credit to Spencer Carberry. I think you have to give credit to Logan Thompson as well, who's been exceptional. I mean, we're all handing the Vezina Trophy to Connor Hellebuck, and rightfully so. He's got a great shot at being like the race for the Vezina is for second place. He's got a good shot at finishing second here. Everything the Capitals did in the offseason has worked to the point where you talk about, the race for second. Spencer Carberry is going to win the Jack Adams as the coach of the year. What he's done with this team is marvelous. They have a great pipeline between Hershey, the American League affiliate for the Washington Capitals, and there's more coming. We all saw Ryan Leonard, who should probably be playing in the NHL right now. And we all saw Cole Hudson as well, who's not too far away. So I don't think this is just a flash in the pan either. Like, I don't know if they're going to stay up around the top of the standings. Not willing to go that far. But as far as, are the Capitals, have they rejuvenated themselves? Are they still going to be a competitive team? Absolutely. I see no reason why not.
Please plug your new show, Jeff, before we let you go.
No. Bless you. 3 o'clock Eastern every day on our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. It is The Sheet. Runs for 60 minutes. I do a blog every Monday as well, and it's hockey talk. It's like, to me, it's like whatever the big power topic is of the day, that's going to get the most currency. And still, like, the biggest topic still today was the biggest topic from a couple of days ago, and that is Connor McDavid. And as you mentioned, and rightfully so, the headliner is tonight. Even without Tyler Myers and even without Connor McDavid, Vancouver and Edmonton. By the way, Rod, let me flip it on you here. Did you not find it a little bit odd that the Edmonton Oilers put out that statement 2 nights ago, talking about how disappointed they were with the suspension, etc.? Meanwhile, here's Evan Bouchard, who just got cross-checked in the face, and not a peep about him. And the Edmonton Oilers were like, if I'm Evan Bouchard, I'm like, I just got popped in the chiclets here. I just got popped in the jibs. Like, any kind of like, we stand with you too, Evan Bouchard? Nothing. It was.
I reason that with the whole world. The whole world's gone nuts, and none of it makes sense. So I don't think about it too much anymore. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you.
Maybe we should all just cheer for chaos. Why not? Thanks, Rod. We'll talk soon, pal.
There we go. Jeff Marek from The Sheet, Daily Faceoff, coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern. Tune it in. You'll love it. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the day. What an emotionally charged program today. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.